But now?
First ladies in the land.
That's right, that's right.
Good luck.
I heard a little bit.
Sing now. I meant to talk to you guys last one, but you have everything you need?
I think so, yeah. The sound was better, I think, last time.
I told them to talk, but.
I ran it through a filter just to get rid of the background noise.
Because they.
Yeah, and I came in early, half an hour early, and I ran about 10 minutes of just
to get the
sound print so that I can subtract that sound print.
And it shouldn't be as bad now that the AC is on.
Right. How you doing, Jim? I know. It's okay. It's okay. It's not much.
Right, like. Like
I just don't know. Is that
because they're realizing they need it. Otherwise everybody's I like the If you got right or not.
Open the meeting with pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move to accept the minutes from the last board meeting.
Second. Moved and seconded to accept the minutes from the last board meeting of October 2nd. Any discussion, any changes or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Move to Pride.
DCS had a wonderful whole school field trip to Stonewall Farm. And the students learned to make cider and how to look at apple. Francistown Elementary had a first parent information evening on Thursday. The staff put together an interactive evening focused on behavior systems and using sports for social emotional learning. And finally, great students all took the NWA test today actually, all at the same time, thanks to the Chromebooks. So that was a big deal as far as ways to not interrupt instructional time, and students were able to stay engaged and focused on that. And those are our points of pride.
Thank you. Now is the time in the meeting where anybody from the public who wishes to speak to the board has time to do so. Anybody from the public wish to speak to the board? Seeing none, we'll continue. Consent agenda.
So approximately page 7 in your package, there are 3 folks that have requested retirement for a year from this coming June. And we will need your approval on those requests.
Move to approve the requests as listed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the request for retirements. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so the monthly events calendar for October and November. I cannot even believe that it is the 3rd week in October already. I'm going to go out on a limb and think that there's probably nothing else this week that anyone wants to add. How about the 4th week? That brings us to the 1st week in November, the last week in October. The first couple days in November, I would remind everyone that our school board budget workshop is on the 3rd, and it starts at 8:30 a.m. here at the SAU. We are happy to serve the board a light breakfast, known also as breakfast treats, and us at light lunch. So, anything for the 2nd week of November?
I was asked to question whether or not we want to have a meeting on election day.
Please change it.
I'm fine with leaving it. Majority.
I'm good with that.
I don't have any problem with it, whatever you want to do.
Well, will Richard be here? Will you be here to chair this week?
Will we have quorum? Just
Yeah.
Want to raise hands, how many people
Yeah, how
can be
many
here?
people can make it on the 2nd?
Be here.
Anything else during that week?
Just curious on the time frame for the workshop on Saturday.
We usually are out by 2 o'clock at the very, very latest. Anything in the 3rd week?
My understanding is that Pierce has an interest in moving strategic plan to 6 o'clock on the 8th, and future meetings as well.
15.
Oh, the 15th, thank you.
The strategic plan will be moving into 6 p.m. Okay? On the 15th.
On the 15th, if the numbers are wrong, we need to go from 14.
Oh,
to
Jesus.
16.
Oh.
We're skipping the 8th this month.
And then we're gonna make it up later. Jim?
Yeah, on the 13th, as you and I talked today, we're going to have an opportunity for board members to participate in what we're going to call a budget drill down. So the budget will be presented on November 3rd, Saturday, and Kimberly will be available from 10 to 12 with as many people who would like to attend to ask more deeper questions. That's 10 days after, 10 days after the presentation, so you can either attend that drill down or submit questions and have another board member ask. Okay.
So, yeah, board members can submit questions and board members can pose questions.
And what was the date?
15, 10 to
13.
12.
Oh, the budget of property community.
No, it's
10 a.m. to
Budget drill down
Oh, on the 13th.
that morning.
Can we go back to the strategic plan committee meeting again? I'm really sorry.
It's on the 15th,
Okay, it is on
and
the
it
15th.
starts at 6 p.m.
Okay, so it's not on the 8th where it's usually
No,
the
it's the-
second
that's right.
Thursday.
I thought it was the second Thursday too.
Well, the second Thursday is, we're Thanksgiving. The third one is.
Third.
So where are we at? Is the 13th?
Janine is correct. It's generally on the third, it's on that second,
It's usually
It
on the
should be on
second
the 8th.
Thursday.
generally it would
right.
be on the 8th.
Great,
So
so it's confusing.
Yeah, so
It
but
is
he's
the-
changing it to the 15th.
He's changed it to the 15th, and he's starting it at 6 p.m., and he wants it to be at 6 p.m. moving forward.
is the ATC moving too?
I would say, why not?
It's okay, but.
I just like to make it easier than doing
You
first.
just want to change the time.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it was the time you wanted to change.
We just wanted to change.
So is it gonna be on the 8th or the 15th?
ATC was originally the 8th. That was-
The 8th.
Boy, whoever left that number out, look at the confusion. Totally.
I'm fine with moving it, but
Okay.
Beginning at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so that's all,
Yeah.
okay, so that's all.
why don't we leave the ATC meeting alone, because is normally strategic going to be,
It should be on the 8th.
Yeah,
normally, going forward, would it be the second week again? Are they going to go back to that? In other words, the following?
it is the second week. It is
Oh, it
the
is
second
second.
week, it is the 8th.
It's just a cut and paste. It looks like the 8th and everything was listed on the 8th was cut and pasted on the 15th.
So let's leave the ATC meeting alone for the 8th.
And you're going to put strategic planning on the 8th.
Everything that's in the 15th is going up one to the 8th.
And just to confirm, there's no school next Tuesday on the 6th? November 6th? That's not next Tuesday, but.
There is
There's
no
no
school
school on
on
election
November
day.
6th.
For anybody who doesn't know that. Oh, I didn't know. But there is a board meeting.
It is a PD day.
Parent teacher.
Oh. Parent teacher conferences. Yes?
So the 27th school board meeting, policy not happening on that day?
I thought.
The school board.
Why just off in case we have a meeting before school board? I just,
We moved the time an hour earlier to account for the fact we're likely to need a longer school board meeting after budget stuff.
that's fine, okay.
Linda?
Jerry, I'm not going to be here on the 25th of October. Can you run food service for me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, that is the events calendar.
A little longer than normal,
Thank
but
you for the lively discussion.
Okay. Time for reports. We have both student representatives here. Keeping that in mind, so why don't you go ahead and report?
Okay, well, we don't have much to report on. We didn't have a student council meeting this morning, but we did talk about, we have, I don't know, Mrs. Saunders, if we communicated with you, but Savannah Lee can be like a representative for the food service thing.
Yep.
So that is, she's a freshman, and she's interested in that. And she seems very, she has a lot to bring to the table for us.
That's great.
And other than that, we just kind of talked about overall ways of improving our school and how we feel about moving pupils.
Okay, thank you. Teacher representative, Asher? Kim?
The CVEA held a meet and greet for the SMS employees and reps of NEA NH last week, and several teachers at ConVal have been working on innovation box projects to take on an issue in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Strategic planning. Here's who's here, who's gonna,
Bird's not
Eric's not
here.
here either.
Skip it this week?
Huh?
Skip it this week.
Well, I didn't go to the meeting because we were in negotiations, so. Anybody go to the meeting? Oh, we really voted. Well, let's skip that one, I guess. Okay. Education Committee, Krista.
We met last evening and we started the meeting looking at the middle school inquiry groups, which is looking at educational equities between Greybrook and SMS. To look at not necessarily what there is that's all different between the schools, but what is considered to be okay to be flexible with certain things. So where both schools might have their own identity and still have educational parts that are the same. They're working in groups of 6 different groups, all have some Greybrook staff, all have some SMS staff, and they're working, I think we meet once a month, twice a month. Once a month? The groups meet to talk about.
Days.
Right. So they're still collecting data as to the differences and similarities. And they're gonna be coming back to us again to give us a report on where they're standing with that particular piece. We also had a lovely presentation on Swift, which potentially might be changing, we might be changing the name of that to something different, because as it stands right now, we use Swift more as a umbrella, because we already have all of those components already being used, and we just needed to put them under a fundamental umbrella, I guess is the best way to put it. So they showed us how every child needs to have what they need to get through school and be successful, and how that works, and how all the moving parts get put together. So that was what we talked about. And also we have a huge list that we're gonna work on in a subcommittee group of the Ed Committee that's gonna look at the I policies that have come to our attention that need to be addressed pretty quickly.
I'd just like to add the principles here that the behavior conduct matrix that you guys are working on was really impressive, and it'd be nice to see that as a universal tool in both schools. That's a real eye-opener, and it was real nice to see that the teachers are working to try to make that consistency when you look at conduct and effort when it comes to grades. That was impressive.
Okay, communications, Nikki.
We met last night. We were slated to meet at 7, but the education meeting went till 7:30. And this has happened to us. We may have to revisit when we meet, because it happens each time, whether we're following budget and property. But we reviewed the beginning of the website renewal and revisions. We looked at articles and newsletters and items that have already taken place this year, those that have been published, and those that we still felt we had in our plan that we didn't get accomplished. We've struggled a little bit with focus, and some of that's because we're trying to follow the board's lead, and every couple of weeks it changes a little bit the direction that we're doing our research in to be ready to communicate. And so we thought maybe focusing a bit on the website and trying to get some of our history and some of our information there where it would be archived would be really valuable, because it could be called on when it's needed. It wouldn't be done just once and gone. We also talked about having 2 meetings for this month, so we do have one more meeting, which will be just a working meeting without an agenda, but hopefully reviewing some pieces that have been done. It's a committee where work needs to happen outside of the committee, but we need to collaboratively review it. So we wanted to give that a try, but if it starts at 7 or 7:30 or 8, I feel a lot like I'm running a staff meeting, people, after Wednesday afternoons. I'm not doing very well engaging the group, anyway. We also reviewed a little bit about what teachers are doing and administrators, and thank you for the great communication you're doing on Twitter and on Facebook, celebrating what kids are doing in the schools. This is like the most important piece that we have. And we're thinking we need to really follow your lead, or perhaps one of us could join your communication committee. And I don't know where that is, Kimberly, in terms of the district committee for communication, but maybe one of us could be a part of that, so we link our efforts a little bit. We talked about trying to work with SAC, and Karen Hatcher had offered to come to meetings, so we'll see whether that can work. And we did entertain really looking at whether we could put in the budget for a communication person, but I was bombed down almost before I opened my mouth. So I think it felt like it is an idea that we cannot entertain at the moment, but I think it's really important. But anyway, that's where we are right now.
Great. Thank you, Nikki. Jim, you have something?
Yes, two quick items. We met the building committee met this morning, and we approved, what was it, $3,500 of additional items to finish off the lab, so we're still well under budget, but we did approve those, and we'll be moving forward. Things like desks, bookcases, just that weren't really fully anticipated when we started the project. We should have the final billing from Hunter next week, I think Tim said, so we'll be able to wrap up and give a final number. The other thing is we've had, and this is kind of an emerging opportunity for us. The DOE, the School Safety and Facility Management Bureau, has, and there were strongly suggested that we submit an application under the Public School Infrastructure Fund, the Improving Security application. So Tim has got together an estimate about $110,000 to install cameras and security equipment at the elementary schools. The schedule would be, they want our application by Monday. The commission would meet the 26th. They'd approve no earlier than December, and we'd have to spend the money by April. So Kimberly and I talked about it. Since we get reimbursed quickly, don't know that board approval is required, but I think it's appropriate here that we ask for, make a motion that we move forward with this application, submit for the $110,000 worth of funding to get the cameras installed. So that's my motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any questions?
Just so people understand clarity, we get reimbursed.
Yeah.
We pay up front and then it comes back to us. So
And the high
it's a
school,
wash.
this isn't the high school.
No, this only has to do with security in the elementary schools.
Have we already installed cameras? No, not in the elementaries. We have some very limited cameras in some of the elementaries, but.
We're not talking about security in public session.
Yes.
I have a question though. Is whatever line this expenditure is coming from, have that money, or we're gonna have to do a line transfer?
We may have to do a line transfer to cover it, but I'll know more when Tim and I actually finish the application.
You don't need
No, I don't need it now.
All right, thank you.
Linda?
And does reimbursement come within the same budget
Yes.
year?
Any other questions? And we've had a motion and it's been seconded on the floor to go ahead and send in the application for the grant. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Old business. Board budget. Are you gonna start
No,
that?
so Jim and I met today, and kind of just started to talk about what, the board presentation will look like a little bit on the 3rd, and a lot of it will be very similar. But if there's any other direction that the board is going to give us, we really need it yesterday.
Anybody send anything in yesterday? Guess not. Okay.
Communication, yeah.
Okay, funding formula discussion.
So at the last meeting, you guys decided that you wanted to kind of dig into the funding formula a little. So what, if everyone will just take one of these, what you guys talked a little bit about was 50-50, 75-25, as in, so 50% of apportionment comes from ADM, 50% comes from equalized valuation. So equalized valuation is the total assessment and what the valuation of the property in a specific town is. So ADM is the average daily membership of the students not in a specific school, in the entire district from that town. Right now, our funding formula apportions what each amount that each district or percent that each town pays of the total, so if it's $45 million, what part of that does Peterborough pay? And that percentage of that, what Peterborough pays, is figured out by that 50-50 formula. So, well, you guys said that you wanted to take a look at that, and I only got a couple of suggestions. And so what I've done here is just a worksheet for you to go through, because we can build those Excel spreadsheets, but you need to be really clear what you want, because I can't, I mean, a really simple one is to go 50-50, 75-25, 25-75, but then people started saying things, well, like, well, could we do a certain minimum ADM? Could we, and those would be very different worksheets. So I'm happy to build whatever kind of funding formula you want to take a look at so that I can bring it here and I can put it up. I just need to know what those parameters are before I kind of go down the road, because Excel is a really deep, deep hole you can get just sucked right into.
So let's, the issue is those towns that have low student attendance in their elementary school is the ADM issue, with a minimum of so many students in the school, and the others an equalized value basis. So what are you thinking?
So I just want to remind the board that initially when a year and a half ago, when you started to really talk about this, the problem that or the concern that you identified as a school board, or the reason to look at models, was around equity of services for students. So I just would, but that was your main concern, was the educational opportunity for students. And not that that can't shift, I just didn't.
I think the issue became, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was that the sense of the information we're getting back is that all the small towns want to keep their elementary schools, so to consolidate was probably not in the cards. So the next thing came up is funding formula. So the issue is, if we want to look at funding formulas, which ones do you want to look at, and in what way?
So, Rich, also, you gave us the Fall Mountains funding formulas, their policy. Well, somebody did. Somebody gave us Fall Mountains. Oh, was it you, Kimberly? So, which was a completely different way of looking at how we go about funding. So, I'm wondering, because we've had a pretty exhaustive study around these models, the ADM and EV models, that Marion completed a year and a half ago. And it concluded that the model we have now is the fairest and the best model so it's like, would it be possible for us to look at like a different way of funding, like different areas of the budget, as opposed to coming up with a different ADM?
Well, this is why the ADM issue came up, because what Fall Mountain and the things that Marion did were related to